NCDOT Structure Training Series, Cast in Place Decks, Part 2.
You need to have that book. They give it away every day at the residence office. It doesn't need to be on a legal pad, napkin, no blue paper bone, no nut box, or anything else, because those things wander off. We want it in a workbook, in your hip pocket, and we want this information. First thing we put in it was that back on slide 15, where we measured our drums and got that measurement from the carriage rail down to the top of the level. That may be the first little number we put in there, but you need to have that. Now, these next several slides that you're going to see, they're all taken from the dry run procedures for transverse streets. That is in your construction manual. It is still completely valid, everything that it says, but I have changed it and modernized it, I guess, a little bit. We're going to look at it here in a minute, but we're going to be using that dry run book. We're going to be using it during our dry run when we're setting that rail. We're going to be using it when we start doing our depth checks and our cover checks. Now, this is the first section right here in that. I've chopped that handout up into pieces we're going to look at. It says the screed rail can be initially set by measuring up a constant distance from the overhang or the top of the sideboard, but this is only preliminary. Final adjustments must be made prior to the dry run. Where do we want to check everything we do from?
Check to make sure the
build-up. Everything we do, I want to check from the build-up. I do not want to check from something that was set off the build-up. I don't want to check from something that was set off of something that was set off of something that was set from the build-up. Every step we need to be going back to the build-up. Now, the reason for that is, what is the first, when we go out there and the party goes out there and marks our build-ups, what's the first operation that happens after that? Rod busters show up. What do? Weld your decking on. Now, are they going to weld that on perfectly? No, they may be a little dab high, a little dab low here, and there, whatever. And at some point you may have, after that you may have them come in and set their overhangs. Now, are they going to set those overhangs perfectly? Should. Yeah, they should, but is anybody going to do anything perfectly every single shot that you make down that overhang? And if they measure up off of that overhang to set that screed rail every single place, are they going to measure that exactly right and set it exactly right every single time? No. Those may be little bitty errors, but if you have those errors, if I've seen a contractor try to make a jig and set his overhang off of his deck pans. Well, if those deck pans were off a little bit, then not only was his overhang off a little bit from that, it was off from whatever error he built into it on his overhang. You can have those little errors work all the way through the process and build into a big error. We want to check everything we do, however he sets it. I want to check all my stuff off the builder, because it's just like going back to a benchmark. I know it's right off the benchmark. I don't know if I made an error in setting it off of something that was set off the benchmark. So make sure you do that. We've done this stuff right here. We've already squared it, stringlined everything. Every bit of this we have already done. So, and that's all on your printouts. You can print out a copy of that. I don't know how many of those things I've ever give out. But this is a drawing that is on that sheet from the construction manual. Now, right here you see this is our carriage rail. And this is our finishing rope. What is this distance right here? And it is from what to what? It's from the carriage rail down to the finishing edge of our drums. What is that distance? I don't know, but we measured it back on slide 15 and wrote it down in our book, so we've already got that. That distance does not change. It doesn't matter where the screed goes on that deck, that distance doesn't change. The only time it could possibly change is some of the screeds have got a cylinder that will raise and lower the whole boat in order to get it over a header or something. But as long as that thing goes back down in that full down position, that distance does not change. Now what we got right here? D, what is that? That's your deck pitch. You can see it's going from your roller down to the top of your pans. Does that change? No. So we got two numbers right here that do not change. Now if I'm measuring from the top of the beam to the carriage rail right there, that distance S, I'm adding up that which I said was constant, that right there which I said was constant, and this right here. What is that?
The V.
The B. What's B?
Band.
Huh?
Build up.
Build up.
Yeah.
That's your build up. The build up is the only thing in that measurement that changes from point to point along that deck. So, we're going to use that. Now, when I start, we're going to come back to that. And we're going to use that knowledge right there to save us a whole lot of back-breaking work. Okay, when you do your dry run, here's what you need to be doing. You tell the contractor, I want you to back up and I want you to start on this 0/10 point right here. We're going to go down through here measuring. Where's my bogey?
Middle.
Yep. Now, right? Nope. Now we're setting the rail right now.
Oh, yeah.
Remember I said after we get those first 5 steps,
Yes.
the bogey's going to follow me around. So wherever I'm checking something, that's where I need to have my bogey. So the bogey is with me over here at this exterior girder. And I'm going to check my measurements. And I'm going to start off at the first 10th point. And I'm going to go all the way down this exterior girder over here. Then I'm going to move my bogey across to the other exterior girder. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to check my measurements all the way down that side. I'm going to do that before I turn the nut on anything. Why do I do that? Why do I do that whole trip around before I make any adjustments?
Get that right.
Let's assume that I want to make them, we're trying to conserve energy here. Not being lazy, but we don't want to do things that we don't have to do. Let's assume that right there is the grade of our deck in the end. That's what we're looking for, the theoretical grade of our deck. Now, if I go down through there and I'm checking, and I say, okay, I've got, right here's where I'm hitting when I check that first 10th point. I could start right there and start adjusting my rail, adjusting those little cups. And then I could go to the next one, and adjust, and the next one, and adjust. But if I did that, and I got out here to the other end, and then looked back and realized that every one of those were a ½ inch low, and I just changed every one of those cups, I'd be kicking myself.
Make sure all your adjustments are correct. All your corrections have been made ahead of time before you set.
Well, I want to make that trip down one girder and back down the other one, and then look at it. And if I see that it's a situation like this where I've got a whole bunch below, and I may have 1 or 2 that are high, I'm going to make one adjustment to take care of a lot of that. I'm going to change my legs. I may raise my legs up a little bit, which raises all these little dots up, however much I raise those legs. And what that does for me is instead of changing all those cups down through there, I just have to change cups around here and here and here. I may eliminate a lot of work by doing that. So always make a pass up one side and back down the other, and look at your numbers before you start turning anything. Because you may be able to eliminate a whole lot of turning those cups with a pipe wrench and just be able to turn that crank a little bit. Okay. Now, again, this is straight off that printout. Everything in that printout is still valid. You can still do it just exactly like it says. But what it is telling you to do is crunch those numbers at each one of those 10 points. And it's telling you how to measure down whatever that distance you come up with from that carriage rail down to that 10th point is. But we're going to make it simpler than that here in a minute. So I don't want you to get too bogged down in it. What I want you to see on this slide is right here. The tolerance for this procedure is 0. The contractor doesn't like it when I say that, but a contractor may ask you, what is my tolerance on setting this up? The sheet that you will print out, if you go to the construction manual and get this, actually says the tolerance is a 1/16 of an inch. And I have had the discussion with contractors before about why that is. Well, if I've got, say, a 50-foot span, how far apart are my 10 points?
What's your question again?
If I have a 50-foot span, how far apart are my 10 points? 5 feet. Okay. What does my spec book tell me my tolerance is when I run a straight edge on that deck after we're finished? 1/8 of an inch and 10 feet. So it says a 1/16. Now, if I can't get a 1/16 between those 10 points, how am I going to get an 1/8 between my 10-foot straight edge? And that was the argument. But the simple way I'm gonna show you to do this, there should be no reason why we don't adjust it to 0. I told the previous class, I told my daughter the other night, she was asking me what she had to do to be done so her friend could come over and clean the house up. And I said, I tell you what you're doing, you're acting like some people that I know. You're not wanting to do it right, you're wanting to do the minimum that I will accept. And I don't want that, I want to do this right. And I want to have a good riding bridge that I'm proud of. And I want to get this thing zeroed in. So, anyway. So what I'm going to do is, this is the old way again. This will all work, and I'm going to take you through something better. All right, this is Jack using a stick. We've got a stick over here, and we'll show you how to use it. And this was the first version. And still, in your pay record book, you know, when you, or in your workbook, what you're doing is you're going through there. You have got each beam, you have got each 10th point marked down in there. And what I was doing in this method, when we were just using the rules, I was adding up all those numbers and adding that number to the buildup, and I'd have a different number to measure down from my carriage rail down to the buildup point on each one of these points. That's a whole lot of numbers to keep up with. So I decided there was a better way to do that. Real quick, what does the stick do? It's going to set and check our grades when we do this driveway. We're going to be able to use the stick to check the grade on the deck pans out in the middle of the deck when we get to that point. We're also going to be using it to check our steel, cover. All three of these things we're going to be using that stick for, and we will not want to be crawling around on our hands and knees on a rebar to do that. Now this is the improved version. And what I did was I thought, okay, those two distances, that C and that D, they're not changing. So I got an old tape and I cut chunks out of it, 2 foot. You can see right here that says C plus D, and I've got that even foot marked right there. What I could do with that is I would measure up that C plus D, that constant plus that deck thickness, and I'd make a mark, and I'd put the 0 foot on that. Then I could go and set that stick up on that build-up point. The contractor would pull the screed up, and I would read on the carriage rail, and since I'm dropping it down the mount of the build-up, I was directly reading the build-up on my stick. So that worked great. No more crawling around. But we can improve on that too. Here's a guy that's using it. This is what we're talking about doing right now. In your package of materials for this course, you will see these sheets right here that you can print out. And what I did was I went to the guy in DEC and I asked him to print this out for me. But the very important part about it is down here at the bottom. It tells you how to print it. It says verify scale prior to use. Make sure if you print one of these out and use it, that you take the stick rule and you check it and make sure it's right. But if you look closely, you see you got the 0 in the middle, and it's counting up going this way, and it's counting up going that way. So what I do with that is I'll cut that thing out just like this, and I measure up on my stick my deck thickness plus that constant, and I take that thing on my stick with some of that wide packing tape at that 0 mark. What does that do for me? I also make another mark on here that I'll tell you about in just a minute. That means that at any point that I set this stick down on that metal decking, I'll be reading 0 up here on my carriage rail. If I do that, now we're going to assume in this example that this tabletop is the top of our girder, which means that right there is our building, correct? So at any point on that deck, any 10th point, I can take this stick and I set it down on that 10th point, I should be directly reading my buildup. Now when you go back to your field book, all you've got in there, all you need to have in there is each beam with all its 10th points and the buildup at that 10th point. You don't have to do all that addition and adding all these numbers up. You can directly read the buildup from the stick. And all you do is you go down through there, you put it on the buildup, the contractor pulls ahead until your rail touches the stick. And if I'm supposed to be reading 0.25 right here, I tell the contractor to raise the rail at that point until I read 0.25. If I'm supposed to be reading 0.15, I tell him to lower the rail until I read 0.15. Simple as it can be. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down both of the exterior girders, and I'm going to make him make that screed read my buildup on this scale. After I get both exterior girders done, then I'm not worried about what's in the middle. But up until this point, I don't care what's going on those interior girders. Why is that?
If get itself, should have been wrong, but still check it, I usually check it.
Well, I mean, we're gonna check it, but why have I not even thought about it up until this
The
point?
outside needs to be right.
Should be right.
Right, when you adjust the outside, you're adjusting everything out through there, aren't you? If that's my screed and I raise up this side over here, over that exterior girder, I'm changing all these measurements out through here on these interior girders. So I wanna get my exterior girders right before I even think about what's going on in the middle. But after I get that done, then anywhere I go, I ought to be able to set this thing down on the deck pan, hold it up to the carriage rail, and I ought to be reading close to zero. Might be a little variation in there because they didn't weld the pan on just exactly right or something like that. But I ought to be real close. The other thing I'm going to do is I know, we'll say I've got an 8¼ inch deck right here. I know how thick my deck is supposed to be. I know how much cover, my minimum cover is that I'm supposed to have over that steel. So if I take that number, my deck thickness, and I subtract that minimum cover that I'm supposed to have, I come up with a number. And I take that number and I mark it right here. In this case, it came out to be 0.45. Now when I do that, anywhere I go on that deck, if I set that stick down on top of that top bar right there, I ought to be reading at that mark on my stick. So, instead of doing things like I did 10 years ago, through all this dry run process, and crawling around and measuring and trying to figure all this stuff out, after you one time set that thing to the header, set your screed to the header and get it set to grade, you don't have to do any crawling around anymore. You're taking the stick and you're checking and setting everything that you do. A whole lot simpler. All right.
A lot of faster too.
Yes, very much. And you're directly reading your buildup. No math involved. And all it takes is right here, a piece of chamfer strip that fits grade on, stick roll, that wide packing tape, and this is, I think, the 4th video in the series. Again, the deck videos are not on YouTube yet, but they should be coming soon. That video will go through just exactly what we've done right here. Be a good refresher when the time comes.
Question.
Yes.
What you were saying earlier is you'll go both sides one complete time to find out if, hey, most of them are
Yes.
a ½ inch off, adjust it, and then go back.
Yeah.
Adjust your legs and then go back, just the cups that you
Yeah, you're just looking to minimize, I mean, it's a lot of work for those guys to get down there to 2 of them pipe wrenches fighting that, those cups holding that carriage rail, holding that screed rail up. So if we can minimize work on them, great. And if, sometimes you get lucky and you can minimize a lot of that, cut a lot of that adjustment out just by working on the legs. So always make one trip around before you turn anything, just to check that. All right. All right, there's your scale. Again, use it all you want to, but please verify your scale before you use it. Put a stick rule to it, and make sure you printed it out right. Because when I was doing this, I printed out about 4 copies that first time, and finally figured out I had an old stretch tape I was trying to measure with. I got a stick rule out, and everything worked great. Check it. Okay, what's this? What's Mr. David Leeds doing right here? He's doing a depth check. What is in his hand? Nope.
No, it's a rod check.
And what is that thing on top of that? What? It is a handy handle, but that's not its purpose in life. That thing is there so you can turn it upside down and you can check your cover. So that T catches on top of your steel instead of the point going down in the middle right here. So it's a good handle, but that's not why it's there. You can use a stick rule just like somebody said earlier, but it's a little harder to find the top of your steel to check your cover. Now when you're doing these depth checks during the pour, how many are you doing? To me, it depends on the amount of super elevation. Is it a crown? How long is it? And I generally tell my guys I'd like to see 9 depth checks, maybe up to 15, something like that. Where are you recording? In your workbook. So when when Aaron Earwood or Lee walk up, they're gonna be so proud that you've got this. And where I'm gonna record it is I'm gonna look around when I take that depth check, and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm over girder 3, and this is about 10.7. I'm gonna find that in my book, and whatever I check right there, I'm gonna write it down right around that buildup, right around that 10th point. So I've got valuable data, not just, I don't like walking up and asking somebody after report, how'd your depth do? Fine. And that's the only answer they can give me because they never write anything down. I want some numbers to go with this stuff. It may be valuable. Okay, we're going to go through a couple of, what's the time?
You've been going about an hour and 5 minutes. You've been going an hour and 5 minutes.
As soon as I'm done, we'll take a break. This one's hard to see, so I'll just go ahead and tell you what we got. This is, there's an open pitted finish right here. One of the things I want to see, what is this right here? A red hose.
Water line?
Yeah, it's
Some
water.
of them have water, some.
It's a misting device. And you can get them, you can make them yourself, doesn't matter, but they're not required. The reason I stick this in here is the person on the deck pour that I usually end up growling at more than anybody is the one who is holding the pressure washer, or the blowpipe. Now, think carefully before you answer this question. What is the purpose of them blowing that water out there?
To control the,
No.
control the evaporation.
There you go.
Yeah.
It is not for finishing. It is to control, we're wanting to control that relative humidity. We don't want too much water evaporating out of our deck. Now, why do we care about that? Okay, if I'm adding water out here, what happens to that water? No, if I add a bunch of water right here, what happens to it?
Dilutes the water.
Changes the slump of the concrete.
It gets finished into about the top quarter inch of that deck. It gets, all that water up in here, that's probably what it's doing, is getting finished in that top quarter inch. Now, when we add that water to that top quarter inch of concrete, what happens to our water cement ratio? It goes up. As our water cement ratio increases, what happens to our strength? It goes down. Now, so we have just decreased the strength in this top quarter inch of concrete. When we walk away from this deck, what is that top quarter inch of our concrete?
The wearing surface.
It's a wearing surface, but we've done something to it.
Coming off.
Grooved it. So we have basically taken our grooves and made them weaker than the rest of the concrete. And I have seen cases where there was so much water added that when you turn traffic on it, they had places where the grooves were breaking off. We don't want to do that, and I growl more about that than probably anything. Now, back in here, after we get off of it, I'll tell the contractor, you can spray to your heart's content as long as you don't start a stream and start washing my gravel. But up in here, we don't want that. He can add enough to take care of the evaporation, but I do not want to see the drums pushing a bunch of slop where he has added too much water. Okay, what's going on right here? I said this morning, this looks like a loaf of French bread he's got laid down right here. What problems did you see? Now, I mean, ideally, it's supposed to be leaving us, this may or may not be ideal, what you see right here, but what problem is it giving us? Huh? Well, he's pushing, but I mean, that's the cause. What's the symptom that we're looking at that we don't like? Two things, right in here and right here. He's got this big open pitted finish, and he's also got these lines. That's on the wrong end of the street. We've already finished out here. We don't want extra grout coming out here. We want the extra grout up there. So, what do you think we might ought to do about this? What adjustments might we be able to suggest to someone to take care of this problem? The problem is one of two things. What? Okay, it could be the augers. We could have too much mix that is getting back to our drums and it's flooding our drums, and it ends up coming out the back end, and we end up with this right here. That could be the case. And with the drums trying to push too much, we could end up with that open pitted finish. That could be one thing. So if our augers are too high, which is what that would indicate, what would we do? Lower the augers, and that's probably the first step that somebody would take to address this situation right here. What is the other thing that you could do?
Check the rollers.
Roller, change the roller.
We don't ever mess with the rollers directly, but
No,
how do you
just
change them?
Change, the slope, not the height, just, roller to eliminate the
Raise the back legs. Right. If you raise the back legs up, that can help this. Now, but remember, what did I tell you earlier? When you raise the back legs, you are also
Lower in the front.
lower in the front. Now, there's a couple adjustments you might see. Since I've done this twice, I can't remember what I said and what I haven't. But you don't ever want to make too many adjustments at a time and not give it time to work. Because if I make an adjustment out here and I drop those augers, it's going to take several passes before I can get up far enough to tell if that even worked. I like to give them a drum length of progress before I even do anything else. And again, there's nothing wrong with picking up and coming back if we've got a problem. But I want to make enough passes to where I can tell that that adjustment has done something. It's not the easiest thing in the world when they drop the augers and make 2 passes and say, well, that didn't work, and raise the back legs and make 2 more passes and say, that didn't work, and then do something else. You need, between each adjustment, to give the machine time to move ahead enough to see what that adjustment did. And again, there's nothing wrong if you go forward that whole drum length, there's nothing wrong with moving back and doing it again. Okay, hold on. Same thing. This is, you can see this is a latex board. You don't have as much time on a latex board to pick up and move back. You need to do something here. It could, same thing, it could be, looks like there's a whole lot of material up here to me, so it looks like it might be a auger too high problem more than a back end too low problem. You can, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, here's a pretty good example, I think. I like to see a whole lot of the drum wet, but not the whole thing. Now, what does a whole lot of the drum wet tell me? Yeah. If it's wet, it's touching concrete, isn't it? I don't want to see the whole thing wet because that means the whole thing's touching the concrete, which means I'm probably going to be leaving marks back here. But I like to, and again, all this stuff is kind of rules of thumb. If he's finishing good, I'm going to stand back and not say a word. But if he starts having problems, then I'm looking at all this stuff, seeing what may be the culprit that I can help him with. You can see, as I was talking about a while ago, the bars are turned the correct direction on this pan right here. He's throwing the left and the pan to help it finish better. What's going on right here? There's something on here that just kind of jerks my chain. A broom. Why has he got a broom out there? What? Okay, if you've been doing this for 20 years ago, what did you see? After that screed passed, what's the next thing happened? What did the contractor do? The guys I saw pulled out a bull float on that work bridge and they went back across the whole thing. Here's my analogy for that. What you have done when you do that is you have just paid to have your car professionally painted. You pulled out a Walmart paintbrush and touched it up after that. There is no reason for that. We have taken great pains to set this machine up properly to give us a good job, this big expensive machine. And we're going to go behind it with a guy with a bull float? We don't want to do that. If somebody has got a bull float out back here and a broom, somebody better have fell off the work bridge and made a big mess in it or something like that. We don't want to be touching it. We want this machine to do the work for us, set it up right, and let it do it right. All right, what's going on right here? Yeah, I'd like to say a longer straight edge, but I'm glad he's got one. And that's something I'm going to be watching, and I'll get the 10-foot straight edge out there. I do like seeing this right back here. They're staying pretty close. Another thing you used to see more so years ago was a contractor would want to finish the pour and walk away and eat lunch and let it sit there before they ever covered it up. Now, what are they supposed to be covering this up with? Well, what kind of burlap? Wet burlap. Never put dry burlap on your deck. It should have been soaking the night before. he should be putting wet burlap out. And they didn't want to do that because they were afraid of marking the deck up if they got on it too quick. And what I tried to tell the guys that I work with is I would a lot rather see a little mark here and there where a piece of rebar got laid down on that burlap as I would have see shrinkage cracking where you didn't get it covered up quick. Keep it wet, cover it fast. So if he can't keep this operation right here caught up, then that's where that guy with the pressure washer is reporting. I don't ever want to see the concrete back here that he's already been over start turning that whitish gray color. It's drying out and we've lost the battle right there. So if he can't get this right here done, I want to see that pressure washer keeping that wet. But ideally, I would like to see this right here and that burlap and that plastic coming behind that screed as quick as we can.